Hello, everybody. Hey, listen, I want to just say thank you for coming on and being on today. Do me a favor while you're all waiting. Make sure that you are sharing this to your friends and your family. But also, I want you to subscribe. Subscribe today as we get ready to go into this conversation because I know these conversations are going to be helpful, are going to be insightful. It's going to do something for you to help you in your everyday to day life. And so do me a favor before we dive into the conversation, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and follow if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, watching this live. For those on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the bell for notifications. For those that are watching on Facebook, make sure that you do the follow, as well as make sure you like, comment, let me know where you are watching this from. So as we dive into this conversation, I can be able to know and see who we are impacting and how much this is impactful to you. All right, we're going to go back to the countdown and I'll see you. Hey everybody, how you doing? And welcome. I'm very excited about today's conversation. Today we're actually going to deal with something I think is going to be great. We're going to look at perspectives. I think our perspective in life is vitally important no matter how you're looking at things. I think the lens in which we look at life is going to be important. And I think it's also going to be able to show and say how you function, how you deal with different things. And so today I have somebody on that looks through lenses on a day basis. And so I want you to go ahead and share, get ready to be a part of this wonderful conversation and impactful conversation right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Focus on Greatness podcast. I am your host, Hiram Roche, and on this platform, we highlight ways to where men can be able to experience greatness in their everyday lives. And so today, I have a special guest, someone that is personally dear to my heart, that I believe is going to be able to give us some insight into just normal life activity, but be able to also give us some view into different ways of being able to look at life. And so do me a favor, put your hands together, be able to throw some hearts in there, make sure that you make some noise for, I would say it out loud, my God brother, Ryan Smith. How you doing, man?
Hey, Hiram, the intro. The intro, man, the introduction. What's going on, Hiram?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing just as well. It's super tired, but I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into why you're probably so tired. But do me a favor, introduce yourself to the audience for those that do and do not know you so they can kind of get to know who you are. And then we'll dive into this wonderful conversation.
Awesome. Well, everybody, as you know, my name is Ryan Smith. I am the owner of Smith's Capture Photography. I'm 27 years old. It's funny. I turn 28 tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday, actually. So
wow.
For me. I've been doing my photography business since 2017, but I've always had a camera in my hand since I started junior college, and things have just taken off for me in the past. I want to say roughly the past 3 to 4 years now, mostly when I went to my university and started doing more university higher level work. And that's when things just started to, start rolling on in. And it's been an awesome experience. I've always been one to always look for new work and always have returning work. It's just something about me and the camera that I've always, worked on or maybe even had a knack for. But it's one of those things where you just see the journey from. And so the journey has had a lot of its ups, a lot of its downs too, obviously, as life goes, but still, it's definitely something I have learned a lot of lessons from, experienced something I never experienced before from. So I'm just ready to share it all and just, give everybody the inside tips or anything, what it's like, seeing a lot of different people do a lot of different important moments of their lives through a lens. Being responsible, to make that creation come true or to give them the most memorable moment of that time.
Yes, and this is actually a great segue in this conversation because what I want to do is first allow people, which you kind of shared it already, but allow people to be able to know when per se did you actually start taking this, I guess you would say, seriously, and how and what was that for you that kind of made you say, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, and do it the way that I'm doing it right now?
I would say that, I'll say it got semi-serious when I started doing, fashion shows in Houston, roughly around 2016. I had never done fashion shows before. So I started, working with a couple of different agencies, started meeting some, musical artists that's big in Houston, and started meeting more artists here and there. But when it got serious is when, as most of us know, when we start getting paid for it.
Yes, sir.
Money, that's when we start taking it more serious. And that was around the time when I started doing graduation photo shoots. And, people just knew me across campus as the guy who took pictures. I was the head photographer of my org, of my fashion org, and so that's how I was known. And campus students, campus seniors more so, started approaching me, asking me how much I charged for doing graduation sessions. I had never done one ever since. So, I had to come up with a whole blueprint plan. You see how much I should be charging. What can I be charging? This early on, I've never done a graduation photo shoot before, so it took a lot of pre-planning, strategic thinking and everything for it. But yeah, I would say definitely when I started doing university work at our graduation levels, people pay top dollar for those. So that's when I started taking it more serious, and just started learning more about how I can get better at what I'm doing as far as it goes, just making sure every session counts.
Okay. Now, what is when I'm looking at talking about life through the lens, which is basically this topic of conversation. When I'm looking at life through the lens, I'm thinking about to myself as trying to be look at it through a photographer's eyes. You get the chance and the opportunity to be able to really see the most impactful, important moments in a person's life, but you also kind of get the chance to see some flaws. Also, when we talk about that person's life, and you get to see the good, the bad, and you make it the most beautiful time for that person. How do you set a mode or an atmosphere for a person to feel comfortable with all of those different ins and outs?
Definitely for me, and it's always going to be a recurrent thing. As a matter of fact, I can definitely, give example for it today. But to start, how I make sure that we get all the way down to the touchdown, a mess of a field, if it may be or if it may go smooth or not, how I make sure that is, I always account to make sure if everything goes wrong. Like you have to be ahead of the curve, like at least by one step, because if you're not, it's gonna reflect on, okay, if you're not in charge of this thing, then it's gonna kind of, go all over the direction. So what I do is, okay, I make sure that the client has more time. I make sure I'm well equipped. I make sure even if I, run late, I make sure that I find a way I can recompensate or do things, to the nature to where the experience is, 100%. My key is always making sure that, okay, no matter what happens, I have my hand on this thing. Like I'm not gonna let it, go south. I'm gonna make sure that everything, goes the best way possible, so the experience is great for it. Because if I don't have my hand on it, then who's gonna be in charge of it? Like I can't see myself, just sharing the responsibility of it, because it's not the client's responsibility to make sure that's all good. It's my job. That's what they're paying me for. And so that's one of my things that I always make sure that whatever happens, if something may go wrong, I can account for. I can, rebuttal any downfall, rebuttal any setback for it. And so that way, when it's all said and done, I can present, here we are, here are your great photos, and they end up loving their photos. And most of the times they're shocked. Most of the time they're really grateful. They're excited to see them when they're all done. But yeah, my thing is I always have to make sure I'm in control of it. And the only thing that I need the client to do, any client, whether it's a baby shower, a graduation, whether it's birthday photos, just have a great attitude. That's the key thing. They don't have to do anything else but have a great attitude and respond well to, I guess, something not going on there that they can't even control.
Okay. All right. So let me kind of shift a little bit because this is even though I know you personally, so it's certain answers that I personally know, but I want the people to get the chance to be able to get to know you as the photographer. Because being a photographer, just normally just taking pictures through like normal college pieces and references, just doing things on dorms, but is one level. But then taking it to where you are now, where it's a full-blown business. Where did you, or are you continually developing the business skill that is needed for not just taking the pictures, but the business side of the photography business?
It's always going to be, I'm try to level up. I'm definitely, not where I would say I'm finished. Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more room to do things I have not done before. There are a lot more things, I can do more for my business, making sure that it's full blown. So I want to get to the point where, it's not just, me shooting. I have like a team of people. I've been working with more people because I've done it solo for so long, but I now have other people, messaging me saying they want to shadow me. They want to, learn the ropes of it. People like to joke, say, hey, can I intern with you and everything for it? But it's definitely something that, I'm still working on just to get better. I know I see a lot of people because there's levels to it, to where you see somebody with the camera who's just starting out, versus someone who has a full-blown website, who has reoccurring business, who gets referred to people time and time again, who gets messaged, every couple of days. And there's other people who, who have full-blown studios, And so I would definitely say I'm still on the run to get my full-blown studio. I'm still on the run to have people who want to shoot with me, shoot for the company of it too. Because most of the time, I remember, side story, I remember when I needed to take it even more serious than what I already was. And it was at African Fashion Week in Houston, one of the biggest fashion shows, in Houston on African Fashion Week. And little photography mistake of mine, everybody has them. I remember doing African Fashion Week. I was there. We were getting set up. Everybody was getting ready. I was on the media team, and I got to my bag, had my camera and everything. I got set up, and so I was ready to go take some practice photos and everything. And I turn on my camera, and my camera's not turning on. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so, is my camera broken or anything like that? So no, I'm thinking, okay, maybe my battery's dead. So I look to get my charger, and so I open my camera, and my battery is not there. I left my battery at home, and the show starts in like an hour, and I'm already like all the way in Houston. And
wow.
So, what do? I gotta call Pops and say, Dad, can you please come to Houston and like drop out my battery? And you know what he did? Everything he was doing, got in the car, brought it all the way to me. We met halfway.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, but that was a little mistake of mine, something I'll never forget. And in that same night, in that same evening, I remember I was talking to a girl, and she was also a photographer. She had business cards, and she had a website and everything. And she asked me, "Oh, can I have your business cards?" I didn't have any. I didn't have any business cards. This was still early on. She asked me, "Okay, what's your website domain?" Like, I don't have a website either. This is like way back in 2000 and like I think 16 or 15 it was. And so she looked at me and smiled, like, "So you don't have a website and you don't have any business cards, but you're supposed to be a business?" And she meant it all in well respect, but it definitely that was kind of one of the sparks that that challenged me, because okay, like, am I taking this serious enough? How can someone take me serious if I don't have these key elements for it? So that's definitely that was one of the times where I was ready to take it a step further. I was kind of like disappointed. Why don't I have these things soon? And it's always going to be a learning thing for it. But that was one of the times where I definitely was going to take that moment and let it be one of those things that, okay, now I need to take it more serious, and now have all those things, have business cards, have a website, have email bookings, have my invoices, everything. So everything is where I need to be right now, but there's still more room to get some more things, to help the business grow as well.
Okay. So if for a person, just say a person is just starting out as a photographer, specifically as a photographer, what would be your suggestion to that person on what they probably need before they jump out there and say, "Hey, listen, I'm a full-blown business." Is there steps to it, or how does that work? What would you say to that person?
There's always going to be steps to it. Always going to be steps to it. From a person who's just starting out, who's just picked up a camera and saying, now what? Honestly, it's the first thing you have to do is just take the jump. Like, you really have to take the jump, because it's never going to be something to where you're going to be afraid to get paid to do work, and you're kind of scared you're going to mess up. You have to get out there and just do your shoots, pay your dues. In the beginning, you're gonna do a lot of free work. That's just how the game goes, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. We all photographers have stepped out into into the field, not knowing what they're doing as of yet, or still learning, and they had to shadow or just be in the backgrounds and learn, and doing their first couple of shoots, couple of practice shoots. They're not getting paid for it. That's step number one. I would say step number two, look to people who you're inspired by. Look to people to where where you're trying to get to. I know I always saw people, and that was one of my biggest things that inspired me to get better. Looking at higher ups that were doing quality work that I wanted to get to. The biggest thing I had to wonder was that, okay, how do we get to that? How are they creating that high quality photo that I have to create? So, you got to ask questions. You got to measure some people. People have the tools to help you out, but it's never going to be anything that you're going to get done unless open your mouth and go out there and do it. It's not something that you're going to just take step by step. The slower you go, the longer it'll take.
Yeah.
So just making sure that one of those key things is, getting out there to go shoot and making sure that, whichever way you go, because you're going to mess up. It's kind of, the inevitable. I messed up plenty of times when I was younger. I thought I could look at my old work right now and say, okay, I can't believe I took that photo, but, I wasn't, as smart as it was then. So, but it takes those times looking back at it and realize, okay, look at the quality of work you have now versus when you very first started. So, be ready to make a lot of mistakes in the beginning. So don't go in thinking that, okay, someone's going to pay you, or after your first couple of 3 shoots, it's not going to be something to where someone's going to pay you right off the, even if they want to pay you, don't expect to get paid a lot. You have to earn that kind of revenue for it. It's not just something that's given to you. Because when you expect it to get paid that much, then you're jeopardizing all the other people who have definitely left their mark on trying to make sure the craft is up to where it needs to be, so they deserve to get paid that much. Versus an average person who's just now starting thinking they should get paid the same. So always expect to go out, do early on. Make sure you're gonna do a lot of free work at first, not always, and always make sure that you're gonna make your mistakes. Learn from your mistakes and make the mistakes.
Yes, sir. No, I'm loving this. I'm loving it. So anybody that is on that is, I would say, not just a photographer, but just a business person in general. I think that surely someone that is starting off, that is starting from, I don't want to say from scratch, but basically you have a dream, you have an idea. This wisdom that you just got, I would use it that way, is something that really we can be able to use across the board. And you can be able to just step out there, jump out there on the dream, on the idea that you have. But you got to know that you're going to have to put in the work. And you cannot think that this is going to be an overnight thing, and by next week you're going to be getting paid all this money like all these folks that have put in this time and this effort. It's going to have to take time. And I believe personally, anything of value is going to take time. It's going to take time to build. It's going to take time to flourish. So let me do this. I want to kind of switch it a little bit, because as a photographer, I know that one of the things that you have to do is you look at things. You might look at things a little bit different than the normal person. And a lot of that is because you're so used to capturing moments. You're so used to capturing either the right lighting or, different pieces. So what I would ask you, what is a moment for you that you can remember in your life that you captured that has impacted your life?
Is this regarding towards photos, or just a moment in my life?
Nah, just personally in your life.
Okay. Repeat the question one more time, just so I can make sure.
I said, so what is a moment that you can capture, that you have captured in your mind, that has impacted your life?
It's impacted my life. A moment in my life that impacted my life. I would definitely say early on when I was in junior college, and I transferred to Lone Star University. And I remember this is one of the moments, I never forget, because it was literally like a snap, like a shift. Like I knew exactly, what would happen. I remember I was in my advisor's office and I just wrapped up doing 2 years at my junior college. And so it was kind of like I just did 2 years of my junior college. Now I'm at transfer to Lone Star. And it almost felt like, no progress was made. As some college students, I unfortunately go through, they do a couple of years of college and they don't really progress. And so I was in my advisor's office and, just doing a regular same old, getting told, okay, what classes I need, what I haven't done yet, just to get in a course to get to my first regular associate's degree. And so I remember I graduated in 2012, and usually, by originality, just on staying on track, you get your associates within the first 2 years, right? And so I wasn't there yet. And so I remember sitting in my advisor's office. I know I'm behind, I know a certain class I haven't taken yet. I know it's things I'm gonna have to, pass even just to get not even C's. Like I have to get like A's and B's for it to get to that certain level. And so my advisor told me, she read down to me everything I needed to do, and she told me my designated year to graduate. And this was all just by if you pass all your classes from here on out. Now I remember I was supposed to graduate originally with my associates in 2014. And my advisor told me, if you do everything you're supposed to do, you will graduate in 2000. You will graduate with your associates, your first degree, in 2016. And it was like my heart kind of dropped. It was just like I'm like my heart's beating fast. Like I'm supposed to have this degree already by 2014. She's telling me like I'll be like about 4 years behind. And so right then and there, I made up in my mind that okay, I can't keep doing this. Like I don't feel like being in school for this long. This is not even like my bachelor's and everything. This is just like my associates.
Right.
So that was a definite shift for me that literally just turned everything around for me ever since I was told that. And I started taking my classes differently. So I started taking a certain amount of hours, and then I took more hours, and I kind of bounced in between the two. And so, but from then on now, when she told me and I completed my registration, like I passed every single class from then on now. Like I never failed a class again. That was just from being told you're not graduating on time. Just that little moment. And I knew I wasn't, going to graduate on time, but it's different when they tell you like, look, there's not really anything you can do except you have to just be on it. You can't do this and just think, okay, doing this the halfway is going to cut it. Even if you try to do it halfway and leave, you're not going to get enough credit for this. So that was definitely a moment for me where things literally shifted for me. And it's something I never really can forget because it was so significant to me. Because like I said, ever since, that moment she told me and I started taking my classes again, I never failed a class again because it was always in my head, like, okay, I gotta graduate by this time, I gotta graduate by this time, I gotta graduate by this time.
Yeah.
So it was never something of worrying about failing. It was like, I know like this is I had a map, like this is what I need to do, because if I don't, then I'm going to be here longer. And no college student wants to be in school longer than they need to be already.
Yeah. No, and I'm going to tell you why I asked that. One of the reasons why I asked that is because I know sometimes just in life in general, we have moments in our life where it has done something to us to shift us. And I call them in some essence, those are captured moments. Those are memory moments where you will never forget that moment, because that moment did something to your life that probably, if that moment wouldn't have happened, your life wouldn't have probably shifted the way that it did. And so to me, again, it's a captured moment. And so one of the things that I do want to ask is, last year, we all had a moment. Everybody had a moment. But how did 2020 affect your business as a photographer? I mean, a lot of people couldn't come outside, and you had a whole lot of different aspects of boundaries on 2020. But how did that affect, if any, affect your business on last year?
I would say that in the beginning, it obviously had its effects. It's kind of logical for it not to have its effects. In the beginning, it was something that I was definitely affected by. I wouldn't say losing clients, but more of, things kind of just were being stalled, or people have to go a different direction because they weren't able to anymore. Understandably, you have to be safe first. But one of the things during the pandemic is I could not really do a lot of things to where it required like a bunch of people there, because most times with doing people's photo shoots, they have like a small little crowd there. If it be, family members or friends, or, their hairstylists and makeup artists there. So it wasn't a lot of things I could really do, just because, not just for, me being safe, but other people want to be safe too. So other people just chose not to do their photo shoot just yet, because it was a pretty just crazy time for that. And so what I did to, help make sure I didn't, lose a bunch of business, I started, focusing on studio more instead of just doing more outside. I had to shift my gears into doing more studio. And so it took a little time. There was a small period where there was like a little gap where there wasn't any business happening, obviously so, because no one's really doing anything right now because we have to social distance and, stay inside and everything. And so I shifted my business to more focus on more studio work instead of just doing outside work. And so with doing that, I was able to learn a couple of different things. I was able to create more packages for, not for the pandemic, but due to the pandemic. I was able to, shift some things around, create new packages that actually fit people. And one of them were, if you want to bring a certain amount of people, that's fine, but only 3 people can be in the studio by itself. Just to make sure that I was reassuring everybody who's in the studio, everything's going to be sanitized before you get here, so you don't have to worry about if things have been used or not. Just making sure everything was equipped for them, because a lot of people who I was working with, they always had stories saying, oh, they knew somebody who was exposed to coronavirus, or they thought they had coronavirus, but they turned out it wasn't that. So it was a lot of reassurance. It was a lot of talking, and a lot of just making sure that people, they felt safe about it, as much as, they want to feel safe. They're also paying to be here. So you also have to reassure them to be safe, and also have to reassure them that they're going to get their quality photos as well too. So I pretty much responded to the pandemic with just, it's like almost I had to answer the pandemic, with, being stronger mentally, being stronger strategically about it. It wasn't something that I was going to allow to, affect my business. Well, I think anybody should allow to affect their business. I know different people went through different things, but for me, I had to create a strategy to where I wasn't losing anything, but also, making sure I'm not just doing it in for, the short term. The short term, I'm doing it to make sure I'm giving an equal amount of correct business, just as if, the pandemic wasn't even here.
Yeah. This is conversation for me is helpful, and it's very, very good for so many different dynamics. But I have to do a pause, and I'm gonna tell you why I have to do a pause. I'm sitting here, and I'm listening to this wonderful conversation, and this is blowing my mind. So for those that are watching and those that are listening, I need y'all to have a clear understanding of why this is messing me up. This is my little god brother, and to be able to hear how the maturity, the wisdom, and the growth that you have is messing me up, and I'm not about to cry on public TV and through this podcast. You're not about to get me out here, Ryan. I promise you that. But it's messing me up because, and one of the reasons why I'm saying that is because sometimes when we look at, per se, I would say it this way, the younger generations that's coming up and that are walking into their own, in reference to their own businesses, starting their own businesses, doing their own thing. Sometimes, and I've seen people do this, sometimes we kind of downplay the wisdom that they have. We kind of downplay the wisdom and the insight that they have from their perspective of how they're looking at business. And so to be able to hear how you've been able to continue with your business, growing and developing it, which we're going to give it a shout out in a few, but to be able to hear how you're doing that, as well as be able to hear the wisdom of how to pivot and make adjustments in trying times, I'll say it that way, is so much wisdom. Is so much wisdom, because I know businesses and people that could not make it through 2020, and some of it probably just was because of the aspect of they couldn't afford to last through, but some of it was that they didn't make a pivot, they didn't make the change to be able to serve or help their clientele. So again, I say, hats off one to you, but as your big god brother, as the real firstborn, I'll say it that way. And that's a shout to my god brother Roderick. But as the real firstborn, I do say, man, for real, I'm very, very proud of you, bro. Very proud of what you're doing, man. So do me a favor. Do me a favor and shout out to or talk to those people that are struggling right now to be able to do photography. What would be a wisdom key that you use, a key for your skill set or however you want to do it, but a wisdom key that you use specifically for your business as a photographer?
A wisdom key that I use from my photography business. Mm-hmm. Let me think. I know I have a good few. Let me think of one that'll help me out. Give me one second.
Got it.
A wisdom key that I want to give to anybody who's aspiring or currently doing photography. Be disciplined enough to know on those days where you feel like nothing is changing, or you feel discouraged, or you feel like you're doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. Be disciplined enough to know if you are closer to your goal than you were than when you first started. Like, so don't just like drop your bags and just, okay, this didn't cut out, I'm not making enough money. Don't think, okay, no one's coming back for my work after I don't have reoccurring business. Like, the biggest mistake you make is talking yourself out of it. Listening to that little voice. You sign the contract with yourself. Mm-hmm. The moment you say, I'm gonna go for it. So be disciplined enough to know that no matter what stage you're at, whether if you're just beginning, whether you're aspiring, whether you've been doing it for a while now, you feel like you're not, there yet. You're not at your chapter 23 or chapter to where you're having high paid level clients. Do not under any circumstances like just drop everything and stop. It's gonna take money. It's gonna take sacrifice. It's gonna take a lot of patience, and it's gonna take a lot of times where you may feel like nothing's changing. I've definitely had those moments to where I felt like I'm not getting to where I want. So I'm not, or I see another person's status too. I really wish I could do something like that. I really want to have a team like that. It's not about looking to other people and just wishing you could be there already. It's more so about, okay, if you focus on just taking it one day at a time, you'll logically learn, okay, how to get there, because eventually you'll say, okay, I'm tired of doing this right here. How do I get there? You will find the necessary steps, but you'll be shown the necessary steps to get to that place. So it's not something that you can just stop and just think it'll never happen. If you're disciplined enough to want to get to a certain level, you you will psychologically you'll make that happen, like, because you know when something's not changing, and so what do you have to do? Okay, you have to put in necessary details and tools, make that change happen. So and you know what you want to change. It's not everybody knows what they want to change,
right?
When they feel like when something's not around enough. So I would say be disciplined, be disciplined enough to to keep going, and be disciplined enough to know exactly what change you want, but don't just think about it, because everybody suffers from just thinking about it sometimes. Like, do it. Don't just think about it. We all think about things. We all think about, hey, I'm gonna go buy this so I can have this. Like, I'm gonna go make sure I'm gonna go here. We all think about these things, but it's more so making sure you make sure you apply the work to it. It's not something that you can just think about, because if you think about it, it's never going to happen. It's definitely something where you have to be disciplined. Be disciplined when things are slow. Be disciplined, to accept where you are at the time being. When you're not at a certain level, and be disciplined to make that change. Those are the things I would definitely tell any aspiring beginner, or even like higher level photographer. Even the higher up sometimes get discouraged. I've heard people who are higher up, they still feel like giving up sometimes, and they just get all flustered, and just things kind of go a certain direction. Even the higher up sometimes want to stop and quit, but if they did, then everything they would have done, that's how they left their mark, by just stopping, and who wants to leave a legacy like that?
Yes, sir. No, that's for sure. So for those that are listening, those that are watching this live, I want to encourage you, as even just was stated, I want to encourage you that you have to be disciplined to reach these goals. No, don't, the reality is it is one of the things that my uncle always said is you got to put your work in. So no matter what you're trying to achieve, no matter what you're trying to go after, you are going to have to put the work in to achieve those goals. And so make sure that you don't lose the steam, lose the energy, lose the drive in between. But make sure that you are, as you're reaching out for your goals, again, understand that it's going to take work. It's going to take time to be able to get to those places. And don't lose faith in what you believe that you're supposed to do. Don't lose faith in the end goal and how that end goal looks for you as well as for your business. So I got two more good questions that I want to ask you. The one question is, even based upon what you just said, one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, where is the photography business? What's our goal? Where are we trying to go after? What's the major goal that we are trying to hit and go after?
Own a studio, own a studio of my own, not something I have to rent out, but have it in my name, be the owner of the studio, have all the paperwork. My goal is to own a studio to where I can have it where creators can come and rent it out. I can pretty much do whatever I need to do in this studio, whether it be for people who want to do like you, who do podcasts, people who want to have creative spaces to show their artwork, or have business seminars, anything that pretty much a studio can be used for. I want to have my own studio. That is the goal, and not just first small. I want to have an expanded studio, just have everything to where everything is where it's placed. I can have stuff for photography, stuff for videography, stuff for meetings, things for, like I said, podcasts. That's my goal. My end goal is to have a studio, not just for me, but something I can, that it just literally run on autopilot. Okay, people come in book. There's another stream of income for it. That's my end goal, to be the owner of a studio.
Got you. All right. So when I say this, I'm actually not trying to be funny. So for whoever is listening, as well as whoever is watching either now or you're watching the replay, we need a studio, and we need a studio that can be put in the Ryan Smith's name for this dream and for this business and the people that is going to be able to help run this business. One of the things I love about I'll say my family. One of the things I love about my family is that we are when we think in reference to our imagination or goals, it's never small. It's always big, but it includes helping other people, and that's one of the things I love about. I'll say really how I believe we were raised. We were raised with the mindset of not just thinking one-sided, but thinking big enough to be able to impact others. And so I'm grateful for your goal, and I personally will write that down. And for whoever that person is, his information will be below in the description below, and you'll be able to reach out to him through the different platforms that he has. And I believe that it's going to be great. I believe that it's going to be helpful because there is a lot of people, from podcasters, from photographers, for business people that are just looking for a place of where they can have their business meetings and different things like that. There's a variety of different people that are looking for a place where they can come, and a studio and a place where they can come and take care of their business. So I can't wait to be able to see that, as well as walk in it myself, and be able to be a part of this major thing that is going to happen with your business. I'm excited.
Thank you.
I'm excited, man. Yes, sir. So the last big question that I have, this is a question that I ask any person that comes on the platform, and it goes with the context of the focus on greatness. The question that I have is, what is greatness to you?
What is greatness to me?
Yeah. When you think about greatness, what's greatness to you?
Well, I have a lot of things, many things more so that find to me. One thing is, how you're remembered when you're in your absence. People will. Your greatness doesn't depend on your absence, but how people remember you is definitely, is that speaks when you're away, or when, let's say you've passed away. How people remember you in your absence, it defines your greatness for me. Because if somebody can say so many good things about you, they have all these stories about just what you did or what you accomplished or what you did for them more so, that can define, because that's all people ever say about you, because they can't say anything else about you, because there's nothing left to do after that. You're no longer there.
Right.
So greatness is how people remember you and how people talk about you in your absence. Because some people can always be here. People give you your flowers. While you're alive, but it's somewhat. I don't want to say it somewhat matters more, but it matters even greater when this is what they honestly can say about you, and there's nothing they can retract about it, because it's not something they can change their opinion on. There's no more to find out. The last things they knew about you, or what they knew of you when you were still here, is nothing but great things. So that's what greatness can mean to me. How people speak about you in your absence.
I love that.
What your legacy was left upon.
I love that. I love that, man. That is a great definition. I'm telling you, I'm glad that that I've had the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I am so glad that you actually accepted, that your schedule was open enough to be able to do this.
Film for me. I've been out of town. I literally got back in town. Well, I told you I got back in town like 5 minutes. 5 minutes after be on here, I just went straight to the room and just set everything up and sat down. I haven't even been asleep. I ain't literally like pulled in, went to the garage, went upstairs, and sat down.
Yes, well, I'm glad you sacrificed for your bro, and I'm glad you did this, man. This was truly a wonderful conversation. Do me a favor, for those that want to reach out to you, those that want to be able to know more about your business and be able to take advantage of your business, how can they be able to reach you?
Oh, they can find me through my website. They can find me through my Instagram tag, and they can also find me through email. I would say the strongest would most likely be through my website. You know, that's where I keep all my inquiries, all my questions. And my website is, if you don't have, oh, it's right there. I see it. Website is www.smithcapturephotography.com, and Instagram handle is the exact same. Send me a message. Send me a submission. You know, I'm very easy to talk to. I respond to all messages. You know, all questions. You know, just if it's something that you wanted to talk about, maybe inquiring about working. If you want to have some questions, if you even want to, you know, just get some tips, you know, just maybe if you're ever in Houston, you know, come by, you know, see, you know, how it all works. You know, definitely just send me a message, and that's where you can find me the best.
Again, I want to say thank you, man, for coming on. I love you so much. And I hope that this was helpful for those that listen. I hope that this conversation was helpful, surely, again, for those business people. And just really in general, I think sometimes we limit these conversations and say that the only people that there's actually helping is those that are doing business. But anybody really that has anything, it doesn't have to be business, it can just be in life. I hope that this was able to help you, because in this, we learned this major pieces. We learned, in a nutshell, I would say, is when you have something that you desire to do, step out and do it. But also, when you do it, understand that you might not get the full result that you're looking for in the entry, but also understand that it's going to take discipline. Again, this is across the board. It's going to take discipline to put in the time and the work to be able to get the desired result at the end of the day. And so, I say thank you so much for coming on, and make sure everyone that is listening, everyone that is watching, continue to follow me and continue to be on this journey. And you can find me right here every first and third Monday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Love you, Hiram. Later, Hiram.